Machine Head dropped a new album, Unatoned. So we're just getting the random Shane pick of the week out of the way, nice and early in the podcast with the first topic we're going to talk about.
I saw this album and I said, "Oh, that's why it's 4 hours long." Because what the fuck is that?
What the fuck is a Machine Head?
I was like, "Why the fuck? We haven't covered them. He's never mentioned his fucking band ever." I was like, "This is why this. What the fuck is happening?"
So I was giving Glory the lore before this because I had to explain to her why I put this on the playlist. What the fuck? Yeah, she got in the call and she was like, "Dude, what the fuck, man?"
Okay.
So I was explaining to Glory going into the podcast that although I don't talk about it very often, or really ever, Machine Heads, Is There Anybody Out There is one of my favorite like hard rock tracks. Just discovered it randomly, like because it kind of would come up in that same time, like when I was listening to a lot of Slipknot and Korn and things like that, like it would come on in the radio. So I guess, a hard rock metal type stuff. And I always thought that the chorus on that song was super catchy, and I'm not one normally to listen to things in the Spotify radio that I'm not already familiar with. Like, my methods of discovering music are different from Spotify radio. I know a lot of people use that to discover music, but that's not normally the way I go about it. When I sit down and listen to music, I want to listen to the things I know. I have other avenues to discover new music. This was a long time ago, before some of those avenues like this came about. And the way that song opens with asking the question and it being like there's no vocals, it's just that soaring, there's no instrumentals, it's just the soaring vocals asking the question to open things up, and then it kicking into this big, just massive arena sounding track. Really hooked me. So I've always enjoyed that song. So Machine Head's not a band I typically follow, but I had stumbled across the fact that they had a record coming out in the midst of the album cycle, and I was like, you know what, fuck it. I've never listened. I've listened to a couple of Machine Head songs. I like Is There Anybody Out There? And I have this fun outlet that I can use it as an excuse to listen to the record when it comes out on Friday, April 25th. And I can make someone else listen to it with me and then talk about our opinions of it. So hence we are talking about the new Machine Head record.
That's why we're here now.
Yes. So, this is my first time listening through a full Machine Head record. And that same feeling that I get from that song, honestly, just goes through the entire record. Like, massive choruses and just these absolutely massive built for arena songs that don't feel like they're pandering to be that sound. They're just so fucking big. There's so many layers to the songs, and that's what I love. I say it on here time and time again, I'm a sucker for a nice big chorus, and this album is just littered with it. And I love the way it's got that opening intro track with Landscape of Thorns, and then Atomic Revelations as like the first real opening song on the album is just absolutely phenomenal. It's hard hitting, and then following up with Unbound is just it just, that 1-2 punch really sets the tone for the rest of the record. I'm also a big fan of These Scars Won't Define Us. And then, there's that, it gets weird in the middle there for a second with Dustmaker.
It's a little weird.
Which track's a little weird. It's like an interlude type thing that is like used as a palate cleanser before they just decide to absolutely pummel you with Bone Scraper, which is such a badass name. But yeah, just across the board, this record is just big, and that's what I like about it. I didn't, like I said, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't even know if I was going to like it going into it. And I came out, really, really enjoying it and thinking that I should spend more time with Machine Head, because they've been doing it a long time. And, to put out, to be still consistently putting out a record this point in their career that is this good. We were talking about it last week, like chatting about Green Day and things like that. For a band to be at this point in their career, and putting out such a solid record is always something to note, because bands fall into the formula doing the same thing. And I really enjoyed this. I listening to it, if I didn't know how long the band had been around, if you told me this band was 20 plus years old, 30 years old, I'd be like, no, they're not. They came out 5 years ago, because that's what it feels like. There's so much. There's so much.
Into the scene.
Yeah, there's so much energy behind this album, and so much excitement. Like I can feel it in the song. So I really enjoyed this. Be honest with you.
Yeah, this was a pleasant surprise. I mean, I see the name, I see the cover art, the overall kind of just theme of the titles, and I immediately thought, like, did he put fucking deathcore in the playlist? I was like, I know for a fact neither of us are like big like deathcore fans. So I was like, if this is his fucking pick of the week, I'm gonna be so pissed. So obviously it was a pleasant surprise when I was able to like understand, what they were saying, and it wasn't hella aggressive. It's still rock metalcore. So
look at the cover art.
Yeah, So, it was really good. I thoroughly enjoyed this record. I thought it was fucking crazy. I'm glad you did mention kind of like, well, at least you were referencing your favorite song by them, how it's anthemic and how it's big. And I think that definitely, that statement carries over for this record overall. I think it is a very big sounding, energetic, anthemic, but not in the catchy, like, fucking tonight hot Chelly Ray, anthemic, but more so just like you can picture it on a big stage. You could see the pyrotechnics, you could see fucking everything happening, and the crowd absolutely going bonkers for it.
Yeah.
So I dug it heavy.
Yeah.
I definitely think the first half was my favorite. The first 3 tracks in particular, not the intro track, but everything past that I think was fucking awesome. Yeah, no, I was like, okay, what the fuck is your problem? And then I listened to it and I was like, wait a minute. Okay, I'm not too mad about this.
Yeah.
I'm not too mad about this. My personal favorite was Unbound, and I really fucked with Atomic Revelations. Atomic Revelations overall did really have that really big, catchy, I don't know if riffs can be catchy, but I mean, it was a fucking catchy ass riff. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Hell yeah.
Pleasantly surprised.
Hell yeah. They're currently out headlining with support from In Flames, Lacuna Coil, and Unearth, which is just an absolutely insane lineup.
Whoa, what the fuck?
The tour is already kicked off, but peep the dates. There's a little bit left. I am so bummed that tour only came to Brooklyn, because I would have been there in a heartbeat, because holy shit, Lacuna Coil also put out a phenomenal record this year.
Yeah.
And those other 2 bands we have listened to and talked about in the past. So just a phenomenal bill across the board. So if it's coming near you, highly recommend.